Welcome back to Vintage HLC Show and Tell. Today we're going to look at some Homer Laughlin wares and some copies. And we'll start with this one, VR128, Fluffy Rose on Virginia Rose. Look at the little embossings, the Virginia Rose shape, the VR128 pattern and platinum edge line. Made for many years from the 30s through the 60s. This treatment was also used on Coronet and Yellowstone, Kitchen Craft, Oven Serve. But here we see it on this little rim plate. Has an ivory shoulder with a gold edge and a nice connecting line in the center. This was made in Japan. So the marking says, let me get it around there, hand painted, made in Japan. And the only hand painting work I see on this is the gold edge. The rest is the decal. It's virtually identical to Homer Laughlin's version. And I'm going to guess here that this comes from either the 50s or the 60s when we had all these imported dinnerwares coming from Japan. Though I could be wrong. I mean, if you know more about these type of markings than I do, please feel free to comment. Again, that says hand painted. We've got a flower in the center and made in Japan. I'll put them side by side again so you can see. Then next we have Table Fare with our strawberry pattern. A supermarket promotion from the early 1980s with a speckled glaze. This one's marked 1983. And we have one that was made in England. Same subject matter. The decal's different, but we have the same speckled glaze and we have a similar pattern along the rim. Look at the marking on this one, which says homespun Churchill stone cast range England wild strawberry pattern on the bottom. It also has rings just like the Harlequin plate does. I'm going to guess here that Homer Laughlin's was first in this case as well, because the only advertisements I've seen for this particular line was from 1983, but we know that this one was made first in 1980. Next, Feather and Ribbon. Now this is based on a Czechoslovakian pottery. So in this case, Homer Laughlin copied an import. But it has a rather complicated story. So in 1941, Carson Wishmaker asked Homer Laughlin to make a special line of dinnerware. And Homer Laughlin creates the Andover shape to mix with swing flatware as well as the swing teapot and swing shakers. So you have this little pedestal design on the Andover hollowware. Look at the marking. Has an eggshell marking that you also find on swing. This is from 1941. And in the end, they go with this pattern, the ribbon and star. But at first, they wanted to do feather and ribbon. And then they changed their minds. During development, they go to ribbon and star. They change their minds yet again, go back to feather and ribbon. But then Reed notes in his journals on May 21st, 1941, that Southern Potteries out of Irwin, Tennessee, is making their own version of feather and ribbon. So Carson Wishmaker decides to go back to ribbon and star, and then this is the final design. Well, Reed has to notify Decal Products of this because Decal Products out of East Liverpool was already developing this pattern. So Decal Products says, well, it's going to cause you a 2-week delay so we can start proofing this out and making the ribbon and star. So this is what Carson Wishmaker gets. It's sold as Wishmaker Modern. Both this pattern and the shape itself are rather difficult to find. But since these were made, Homer Laughlin went ahead and used this on other lines. So we see it here on Swing Eggshell. It was also used on Eggshell Nautilus all throughout the 1940s. This particular plate is dated December 1941. But this was based on the Czechoslovakian pattern. And we see it here on this teapot. We'll look at the marking. And we see Perkenhammer. This is a rather old pottery in Czechoslovakia. It started in 1808. I believe they're still open, still making wares. But in 1941, it's the height of World War II in Europe. Czechoslovakia was not in any position to complain if anybody was going to copy any of their patterns. They had more important things going on at the time. But we'll put these two side by side, and you can see Homer Laughlin's version is virtually identical to the European version. And this is not terribly hard to find. I believe the name they used was Greta. Now we'll look at some Fiesta. There's our vintage Fiesta sugar creamer and tray set. Cobalt tray. We'll look at the marking. Here's the back stamp. And we'll look at the impressed marking on the sugar. So they will always be marked. Even in the contemporary line, I believe they're always marked. They were reintroduced in 1986. They're still being made today at the Fiesta Tableware Company. And here we see a version in white with these decals of the cartoon character Droopy. The sugar. And when I first saw this on an online auction, I thought, oh wow, maybe that's something special, something that didn't go into production or whatever. But none of the pieces are marked, so they're not Fiesta, they're not even Homer Laughlin. And in fact, as I pick these up, they're very lightweight. I mean, they're not that vitrified body that we know of with contemporary Fiesta. And the sugar and creamer have the same decal markings on them that says Avenue of the Stars, Tropico Diffusion, 1998, Turner Entertainment. So something to be aware of. This copy from the 90s. From a distance that could fool you, but like I said, once you pick them up, they're really, really light. Another piece of Fiesta. This is our nappy, the larger 9-inch nappy. See the marking? And in the back, we have one marked Seville. Almost identical. The overall dimensions are pretty much the same. We have the inside rings. The Fiesta version has rings on the inside wall. This has it on the top of the rim. We see a different ring configuration on the outside. But again, it is marked Seville, USA, made by Cameron Clay Products of Cameron, West Virginia. They made a line of Seville artware and kitchenware that was, a lot of it's similar to Fiesta. For example, the disc pitcher and juice tumblers are based on the Fiesta shapes. So after Fiesta became popular, a lot of potteries started making their own versions of it, and this is Cameron's, part of Cameron's line of Seville. If you want to know more about Seville, check out the Facebook page, the Cameron Clay Products. There's a nice Facebook page where the collectors and residents of Cameron have made a lot of discoveries in the past few years about what they made. And finally, Decoleaf. This is one of my favorite patterns. We see it here on a Kitchen Craft cake plate with red trim. This pattern was used on Nautilus and mixed with pieces of Fiesta Red to create harmony sets. It was also used on embossed oven serve. But here we see it on this creamer, and it's a pink and red design, and the intersecting lines have a gold stamp on them. This was part of a tea set, so there was a sugar creamer, a teapot, cups and saucers, and little 7-inch plates. Translucent ware, very lightweight. I do not know which came first. I don't know who copied whom in this case. Though this is where I'm going to need your help, because it is marked, but I don't know what that back stamp is. So it's got an S at the top, then a T, and a K, so they're intertwined, and that's the order, STK. I have no idea if this is foreign or domestic. If you know, please let me know, because I am curious as to which came first. I would like to think Homer's came first, but I'm just not 100% sure on that. Look at that teapot again. I prefer the Homer Laughlin version with just the single red with black, as opposed to this shaded version with the pink and the red. And there's that mark yet again. Okay, I think that's it for now. Next time we'll look at some pieces of tango.